Hi everybody, it's Lisa from Sutton's Days, and today we're going to can salmon and a little bit of walleye too. Okay, I'm going to walk through just a couple of the basics before we get completely started here. Um, Last fall, I want to say late October, I have a friend who owns a fish market, and she knows that I would like salmon every single year. Last year was not a great year for salmon. There was just not a plentiful amount. But she managed to save me a few pounds. So I got it home, got it in the freezer, and then promptly forgot about it. Well, we're making room, and it needs to get into jars. So today we're going to put it into jars. Now we're going to can it in pint jars. There's going to be two different kinds of jars that I'm using just because that's what's available today with the least amount of hassle. I have half a dozen wide mouth jars and a half a dozen regular mouth jars. It doesn't matter. It really is just a point of preference as to which kind of jars are availability, or push come to shove, it just doesn't matter. But you have to make sure that you've got the right lids for both of them because they take different lids. The cook time is going to be 10 pounds of pressure for 100 minutes. That's an hour and 40 minutes that it has to be in the pressure canner at least 10 pounds of pressure. Now, when I say at least, that means it doesn't hurt if it's 11 or 12. Typically, I range somewhere between 11 to 13 pounds of pressure for that entire time. The best part about canning salmon is that in the pressure canner, it dissolves the bones. So you don't have to worry about bones. Because if you've ever had fish where you got bones stuck, oh, it's bad. But when you can it, it dissolves the bones. They're gone. It's a beautiful thing. So we're going to get started now, and I'll show you some of the
Okay,
stuff that we're
so
doing.
those are the jars. Well, the jars and the lids. And the best part is to prepare your jars, you just have to have them clean. You don't have to have them sterilized. It will, they'll be sterilized. They'll end up sterilized when you pressure can. It takes care of it all in there. Pretty nifty that way. It's a one less thing to have to worry about. So I have 12 clean jars, and I have the lids necessary. And now we're going to start filling them with fish.
Okay, so first we're going to take our fish. Now, I mean, I get mine from the fish market, and again, this has been frozen for a little bit. But uh, if you have to scale it, if it's fresh fish, I can't really help you with scaling. You'll have to find out how to do that. But you take your fish, once it's scaled, once it's cut, you cut it into smaller pieces because the idea is to get as much of it into the jar as possible. So you'll be cutting through the bone, you'll be cutting through, everything else. It's not a big deal if the skin's left on there. Really, really not a big deal. So just try to get it in there. Love salmon. One of my favorite things is salmon patties. And I've gotten into a habit of, instead of salmon patties, I make salmon like meatballs. And so good. Okay. I'll have them cold for breakfast the next day. Not sure how weird that is, but it's what I'm doing. And you can cut it into whatever size pieces you need to get it to fit in those jars. Okay. Okay. These have been defrosting in the fridge for over 24 hours, and there's still a little bit of ice in them, so they're cold. That causes a whole nother thing to have to watch out for, and we'll address that when we get ready to put these into into the pressure canner. Okay, so I'll be back when I get all of these into the jar. Oh, so you want to fill the jars so that they're about an inch headspace. Eyeball it, figure out an inch, but you want that inch space. This is an oily fish, so you want to make sure that you don't have it too overcrowded in there and that the oil would seep out because that will destroy your seal. Okay, so we'll be back in a few minutes when I get this all loaded up. Okay, so I got the fish cut up and I got to put into the pint jars. You'll, I hope, maybe notice that there are 3 extra jars. Those 3 extra jars are some walleye that a lady that I work with, her and her significant other went walleye fishing last year, and she gifted me with some walleye. I did not have time at the time to deal with it, so I put it in the freezer. Ever grateful, always grateful when somebody gives me fish, but I didn't have time to deal with it. So that got kind of put to the side along with the salmon because it's fish. I can do it all at the same time. And actually, I will end up using the walleye like I do the whitefish and mixing it with the salmon, half and half for salmon patties or salmon loaf, because it just stretches my salmon a little bit farther. Walleye, if you have not had it, is a beautiful white fish. It's not fishy. It's mild. It's wonderful. Really good stuff. Prefer it broiled. Over a nice flat. Oh, gorgeous, gorgeous, good stuff. Anyway, so because the salmon is a fatty fish, um, we're going to take vinegar, and basically you do this all the time anyway. You take some distilled vinegar and you wipe down the rims, and you make sure that you get any fishy pieces that are on those rims off. Okay, you want to make sure that's clean and clear, because otherwise you have wasted your time and your money and your fish, and we don't waste fish around here. Okay, do that a nice cleaning, and you really want to, if it calls for it, get in there and just really get around it. Okay. And even with a not fatty fish, you want to get in there and get everything off that rim. You don't want to give anything an opportunity to get between the seal and the jar. Okay, now, if you were to go out searching around on YouTube or any place else, there are various recipes, methods for canning fish, and salmon in particular. Some people put a little bit of vinegar in there. They believe that melts the bones. They put a dollop of ketchup in there for the same reason. They add salt. I'm assuming that that's for taste. I don't do any of that. None of it. I put a lid on the jar. I put a ring on the lid, and I put it in the pressure canner. When it comes out, I season it and I deal with it the way that I want, because you just never know what you're going to use it for. Now, I've had it with the ketchup in there. A friend of Phil's used to gift him with a few jars of it every year, and it had the ketchup in it. And it doesn't alter the taste, but it doesn't get rid of the bones any more or less than just pressure canning it, period, gets rid of the bones. So this is where we're at right now. We're going to get some lids on here. And you want to make sure, just to rehash, you want to make sure that you take a paper towel that's been dipped in vinegar, and you want to make sure to clean off all of the lids, okay? Get those on there nice. Now, pressure canning. Back to that whole fun part about pressure canning. Probably why it's my favorite, because it keeps you from having to do all these extra little steps, okay? You don't have to heat up your lids. You don't have to. Pressure canning, the act of pressure canning will heat those up. Missed a couple. Will heat those up more than sufficiently. You don't have to when you go to put these on. What you do have to do is make sure that they're on straight and that there's nothing in between the rubber of the lid and the glass of the jar. So no food particles. Okay. So not only does pressure canning sterilize the jar for you, it makes it so that you don't have to preheat the lids. Now, my other caveat, my other disclaimer. There you go. That's what it is. My other disclaimer. Oops, got my rings. Be right back. Then you get my disclaimer. Okay, so my other disclaimer is this. This is how I do it. I am not certified. I know some states have master canner certificates and whatnot. I'm not certified. This is just the way that I do it. I'm not an expert by any stretch of the imagination. Again, this is just the way I do it. This fish, although we tried, did not get to room temperature. Okay. It still is rather cold, and thus the jar is cold. So I am not heating up the water in the pressure canner. The water in the pressure canner is cold, and it's going to stay that way, because if I put these cold jars into a warm bath, then they'll crack and all that fish is gone. Okay, we don't want that. We definitely don't want that. So we're putting cold into cold, and then we will warm up the water with the jars in it so that it all comes to temp together. Okay, also I am putting these on. I'm not cranking. I'm not, cranking these on, but I am making sure that they're snug and they're tight. Now I have to go find smaller rings. Be right back.
Okay, so we've got all the jars in the pressure canner. Just for sanity's sake, the smallmouth jars that had the walleye in them are on the bottom. And so those are the only smallmouth jars that I put on the bottom layer. When you do 2 layers, you need to have one of those racks. So you've got one rack on the bottom of the canner and one rack in between layers that allows everything to get around the heat and everything to move throughout the pressure so that all of them are being cooked properly. So we will be back. I'm going to bring this up to, I'm going to get this to the point where it's venting, and I'll show you what that looks like, and then we'll show you where it goes from there. Okay, so she's starting to vent. Not totally yet. See that little button right there? When that little button pops up and stays up, then we start the countdown. We vent for 10 minutes. It's not quite there yet. Okay, there we go. She is venting. So now we start that 10-minute wait. Okay, it's been venting for 10 minutes now. So we're going to put the weight on, and we're going to let the pressure come up to 10. And then we're going to turn down the heat. Okay, so as this gets to 20 pounds, or 10 pounds, sorry, just looking at something about a turkey. As this gets to 10 pounds, we're going to slowly turn down the heat so that it maintains that. You don't want it to go under. If your pressure drops below 10 pounds, guidelines say you must start timing all over again. So it's really important to keep an eye on it. It has to be a consistent, steady, never under 10 pounds. Let's see, so let it vent for 10 minutes, put the weight on it, the gauge reads 10 pounds, then we let it go for 100 minutes, which is an hour and 40 minutes. Never let it get under 10 pounds. So now that it's reached 10 pounds, I'm going to slowly turn down the heat, and we'll keep an eye on it, and we will see you when it's done. Okay? See you then. Okay, so an hour and 40 minutes is up. So now we're going to turn down the heat. We're going to turn off the heat, and we're going to let this depressurize, cool off, all on its own. You never take the weight off. You just let it go at its own pace. Should be a little bit more, and then we can pull them out of the canner and put them on a towel for 24 hours. Okay, so the canner has completely cooled off. See, the little thing here is down. Okay, you want to make sure that's down because that means all the pressure's gone. So I'm going to lift off the weight. Now when you pull off the lid, you have to be very, very careful because it's still very hot in there. So you want to make sure to always open it away from you. Okay, so you're going to twist, and then you're going to open it away from you so that the steam goes in the other direction. Okay, we'll put that over to the side. And then let me have you take a look really quick, and then we will start moving these jars. Look at those bubbling. Isn't that pretty? Okay, so now I'm going to get you up on the tripod, and I'll start pulling those out. Okay, so here we go. One by one. Okay, and you don't want to tilt them. Just want to pull them straight up. You don't want to put them right on top of each other, but you want to put them so that they're not touching. But I don't leave a whole lot of space either. Look at all that bubbling fish. That's what it looks like when it comes out of the canner once you get it out. It's still in there bubbling away because it's so hot, so you don't want to touch them. Make sure to let them sit for 24 hours. And then you want to test all the lids, push down on them. They should not have any give. You should hear that popping go on for a little while. Sometimes you won't hear it, sometimes you will. But all is well. Look at that beautiful fish. And voila, those are the 3 pints of walleye. Beautiful, beautiful. I hope everyone has a really great day, and thank you for coming by, and I hope that you get to try canning some salmon. Be sure to let us know so that we can swing by and check out your video. Have a great night. Talk to you later. Bye.